and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie and this is my podcast where I talk about all of the things that I have been making. That usually consists of knitting, weaving, dyeing, spinning and sewing, embroidery, anything that takes my fancy pretty much, but I tend to stick to knitting for the most part. If you want to follow me on social media, you can find me as a_little_crafting on Instagram and as Ankiwoo on Ravelry. And today is Sunday the 16th of February 2025. It is actually probably one of the first sunny days for a really long time, so I thought the light is actually quite good today to record. And my husband and my daughter have gone out for a walk, or rather my husband has taken my daughter out for a walk because she's only 5 months old, so I have a bit of time to record today. Let's jump in with what I am wearing, and this is one of my favourite makes that I've made over the last few years. This is the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter, who is Boyland Knitworks on Ravelry. It is a colourwork cropped top. I wear it over a shirt, you could wear it over a dress, and I knit this in Dererum Natura Ulysse, which if you know me, you know I love the Dererum Natura yarns. Ulysse is the sport weight version, so they have Gilliatt, which is Aran to worsted, and the sport weight version is the same kind of spinning style, so it's a semi woolen spun, I think. I'll double check that at some point. And it therefore it's quite airy, and it's a merino dalle, which is a locally sourced merino in France. The colourways that I used, if I remember, are Poivre Blanc, I think was the white, Quartz would have been the light pink, Ciel is the blue one, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the dark blue colour that I used is, and the pink is Confiture de Rose. So yeah, I think it might be Tempête. I'll double check and I'll pop it in the description below, because it should all be on my Ravelry project. I unfortunately don't wear this a huge amount, mainly because I feel I reach for knits in the winter, and then in the spring I'll wear this for a bit, but then it becomes too warm to wear. So I should probably get a few more dresses to wear this with, because I do find it harder to style with jeans and a shirt. It's a little bit shorter than I would like, basically. So I think if I was to knit it again, I'd probably knit a slightly longer version. Just make the ribboning a bit longer, and then I don't get a cold tummy unless I've got really, really high-waisted jeans. But overall, I really enjoyed knitting this in 2020, I think it was, and would knit another one in a heartbeat. Basically, it was so much fun and it looks so effective, and people often admire my colour choice because I've gone with kind of blue, pink and neutral, and I quite like the effect that this has of this kind of stained glass view. Yeah, so that is what I'm wearing at the moment. So let's jump into knitting work. Well, they're all works in progress, but one of them is very, very close to being finished. In fact, two of them are very, very close to being finished, so they count as works in progress for now. So I last year knit the Snefald shawl by Fibre Tales, and this is how that looks at the moment. So this is a shawl that is knit in colourwork in the round and then steeked. So you can see now that I have steeked it. So I've cut it. What it was this section up here would have been together, and I've cut it along that line. So what I did was I knit the whole thing, left it for a really long time, and then decided I'm just gonna reinforce it with the sewing machine and cut it. So I reinforced with just a basic sewing machine stitch in a contrast thread so that I could see where it was, and then cut up the middle. But I have found that I've got all these little ends that are sticking out, so I don't really want to just wear it as is. And I was speaking to one of my craft group friends who mentioned that I could felt all of these bits in and then trim off any ends, just to kind of make sure that it wasn't going to unravel or anything like that. So I have given it a go on this section. I have no idea, you're probably not going to be able to see that well, but basically it's kind of holding everything down. And I just need to do the rest of it. But it was quite slow going, and I think I was doing it in the evening. It was quite dark during craft weekend last weekend, and I need some more light to felt it properly. So I've got the felting needles, I've got the mat and everything to use, but I need a bit more light so that I can make sure I'm poking it in the right place. So I will continue with that when I have an opportunity to, and then show it again in all its finished glory at the end. So at the moment this hasn't been fully blocked yet, I don't think. So you can see it is a bit floppy in places. I'm hoping blocking it will just make it even out, but I'm really looking forward to wearing this at some point. Obviously isn't going to be this winter because that's almost over. We're definitely getting signs of spring here in the UK. But yeah, I absolutely love the look of it and want to be able to use it, so I'm gonna carry on with that method of felting the steek, and then trim off any little ends that are left over, and then I'll be ready to use. Block it again probably as well, just to even everything out. And yeah, I really did very much enjoy knitting this. I do love knitting colour work. I just feel like it flows and it feels really satisfying to knit. So I should have more colour work on the needles at any one time, to be honest. So yeah, that is my Snefald shawl and the progress I am making with that one. Next up, I have my simple garter stitch blanket, which is in Dererum, Natura, Gilliatt, Poivre Blanc, and a Woolstok Aran mini skein bundle. So last episode, I was talking about the fact that I wasn't sure what to do with this. Whether I would just carry on and have enough yarn to do the same stripes again, or whether I would need to do narrower stripes with the coloured yarn, the Woolstok Aran. What I went and did was I went and weighed my balls that were left over of the colours. So that's these. I actually have all of them in here now, which is nice. So all of these colours. And upon weighing them, I knew I had more than half left of all of them. So that meant I could do some more stripes. So this is going to be a blanket for my daughter, but at this rate it'll probably be for her bed when she's a bit older, rather than her pram at the moment. So yeah, this is how it is looking right now. What I've decided to do is continue and effectively double it. So I think halfway point would be about just before the yellow stripe, and I've done another yellow stripe which just finished off the yarn, and then I've started the next block section of the Poivre Blanc. This was just me casting on 100 stitches and knitting. I'm knitting it on 3.75mm needles, but I have a very, very loose gauge, so just to warn you, if you did the same thing, it would probably end up smaller. But yeah, I'm doing 10 bumps of the Poivre Blanc and 2 bumps of the colour, and then 10 bumps, 2 bumps. So 20 rows, 4 rows, 20 rows, 4 rows, and alternating like that. And I think it looks really, really nice. And it's so easy to knit because it's just garter stitch. I'm just changing colours every so often, which gives me a bit of motivation to carry on. I think if I wasn't changing colours, I'd have got bored already and wanted to finish. So yeah, that is progressing nicely. I'm not prioritising it at the moment because I've got other projects that I've been very, very excited about. So I'll show you those in a minute. And this isn't a pattern, it's just me going for it basically. So that's why it ended up so wide with those 100 stitches, and why it will probably end up being quite huge by the end of it. I did have to order some more Gilliatt, and that's a bit disappointing because I was hoping to just use stash, but I used up all of my stash of poivre blanc, so I had to order some more. And I was surprised, well, I wasn't surprised as such, but I noticed that a ball of Gilliatt in the UK is now about £15 plus postage. I'm pretty sure when I started buying it was 10, so it's gone up by a third in about three or 4 years. Which in my head is annoying for maths, but especially as I'm on statutory maternity pay right now, so limited in terms of my actual yarn budget. Although somehow managing still. I basically just did a hard cull of anything that I didn't need financially. But anyway, I am going off tangent, and you probably want to hear about the rest of my projects. So next up, I am knitting the Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry. This is in the Fibre Company Law, and the colourway is Ambitious, and it's a lovely dark green. And I'm not usually one for green, but this particular episode has a surprising amount of green, so it's obviously my new thing. And I have been happily knitting away at this, except I realise that I have made a mistake. So this has been in the naughty corner the last few days. But this is essentially what it's looking like at the moment. I'll show you the texture. So it's got kind of a little knit purl ridge every few rows. I think it's every 6 rows. And this goes all, that texture goes all the way down the sweater. Sorry, the cardigan. And I'm knitting a cardigan because I'm finding it quite awkward to wear sweaters whilst I'm breastfeeding, and I need something cozy to throw on in this cold that we're having at the moment in the UK. So what I discovered was the other day when I was having a look at it, and I'll show you on this side, I don't know if you'll be able to see over here, is that this section between the bumps seemed narrower than the others. And I had a look at the other side. I thought, well, it's not narrower on the other side. It looks okay on the other side. So what have I done? Had a look around the back, and I must have picked it up after putting it down briefly and gone in the wrong direction in the flap. So gone from a knit row to purling, or purling to knitting in the wrong direction. So I found that there's a little hole from a short row here. Ooh. Can you see that? Yeah, where my finger is. So all of this extra that I've done here, like the 2 inches that I was really happy to have got through, I'm gonna have to rip out. There's no other way to fix it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to rip back when I feel like I can manage that. Have the energy to do it, which is kind of gutting. So yeah, this has been in the naughty corner. I think I was just in a bit of a hurry to get moving with it, and and probably put it down to tend to my daughter, and then came back, picked it up and was like, oh yeah, let's get going, and didn't check that I was knitting in the flat in the right direction. So yeah, I am a bit disappointed because that's quite a lot of work that I have to rip out, but at least I spotted it now and not when the sweater was finished. I don't think I can just leave it as is. It's going to mean that one side is shorter than the other. So I don't want that. Yeah, but otherwise I have very, very much been enjoying this pattern. It is a raglan. It's a cardigan. My gauge is super loose, so I'm knitting it on 2mm needles. And it's a DK weight yarn. I don't know if I mentioned the colourway, it's called Ambitious. And this yarn has been lovely to work with. It softens up very, very nicely, so it's actually quite drapey in the swatch. Got a bit of moss on there that looks really invisible. Yeah, so it's quite drapey once it's washed. So I think this will be a really wearable cardigan that I'll use quite a lot. I tend to have quite a few white or off-white stripy tops. I've also got some light grey breastfeeding tops, so I think this will go so well with any of those. And like I said, what I really want is something that I can just throw on, feel warm and comfortable in, that isn't going to get in the way whilst I'm breastfeeding. That should be perfect. Yeah, so I will come back next time, hopefully having ripped back and made some more progress, and fingers crossed feel a lot happier about this project than I am right now, after I've figured out that I've made a huge mistake. So there we go. I think it needs a couple more days in the naughty corner, but I will talk to you about my next project, and I will definitely be finished that one off first. Right. The next project is the Versatile Baby Vest by Sandra and Magalhães. And this is an absolutely lovely little project. I have enjoyed this so much, and I was on the verge of staying up late to finish it off last night, but I didn't. So let me show you how it looks at the moment. Yeah, so I didn't start this that long ago. I've got the Moon and Stars stitch pattern from the Doodle Knit Directory by Jamie Lomax, which I got for Christmas. The gold coloured yarn is my own handspun. I dyed it myself. I think it was 100% merino. I had about 58 grams of it, which is plenty for this. And I am knitting this in the 3 to 6 month size. No, the 0 to 3 month size, but I'm knitting with the recommended needles because I just went ahead and did it, knowing that my gauge would be quite loose because I'm a loose knitter. So my daughter is 5 months. I think this should fit her fine, and it's also got a lot of stretch. It hasn't been blocked yet because I am just finishing off one little side of it, but I think it looks amazing. I was really happy with it when I was getting close to the end, and I just have a little bit left to do. I do need to do a bit of weaving in, a bit of tightening up holes under the underarms and things like that. I didn't actually go down a needle size for the ribbing in the collar because I was really desperate last night to keep going. I did for the sleeves, or for the little sleeve edges. I'll see how it looks once it's blocked. I might undo it and re-knit it if it doesn't look right, but it's for a baby, she's not going to care if it flips out a little bit. And then yeah, otherwise though, I think it looks fab. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I've got a little bit of rowing out on the flat section, but again I'm hoping blocking will even that out a bit. Yeah, so overall really lovely pattern. I've really enjoyed knitting it, and I'm probably going to make more of these in the future because they don't take long and they're quite fun, and especially because you can customize so well. That's why it's called versatile. So I might find some other stitch patterns that I can use at the bottom here, make some different coloured ones for when my daughter's a bit older, in some larger sizes. And I have plenty of yarn left. So this is what I've got left of the sport weight ball. This is undyed 100% superwash merino from yarnundyed.net, which is AC Woods & Co. That's where I get my yarn for dyeing. So yeah, I just grabbed some sport weight to go with my handspun. And I've got plenty of handspun left as well. It has been yarn bathing a bit, but you know, considering that's probably definitely not used very much of that, so I can use that for something else as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to popping this on my daughter sometime soon. And yeah, it's almost done, so just a bit of ribbing. I am keeping this in my Alex Collins little tote from a couple of years ago. I think it's an autumn one. I saw Alex at Unravel Festival a couple of days ago, so it was nice to have a chat with her. But yeah, her designs are really lovely. This is all screen printed and then sewn together into a nice little bag. And it's just one of those really handy little bags I chuck everything in when I'm knitting something. It's great and fits that really well. That I think is all of the knitting that I've been doing, but I did set up my spinning wheel again the other day, just to do a little bit, and I started spinning some fibre that I got a couple of years ago at Unravel now. This is from Charmaine of Yarntings, and this is Yak Silk, hand dyed by her, and I've had this for a couple of years, so I thought as it was coming around to Unravel this year that I would start spinning it. And this is just my single ply so far, looking really nice. I have to say, I can tell the difference between when there's a lot of yak in the section that I'm spinning and when there's a lot of silk, and the silk is quite difficult to control because it's quite slick. So I'm much preferring spinning the yak, which has made me think maybe I should what I would love to do is get some yak fibre, dye it and then spin it, or a yak blend of some kind, dye it and then spin it. But all of my yarn dyeing stuff since I had my daughter is in the attic, and I'm not planning on doing any yarn dyeing until, fingers crossed, we move house in the next year and a half, because I don't really want to be dyeing yarn in the house whilst my baby is around. It does absolutely stink out the house. My husband tends to get a headache, so I can't be doing that really. I think that's got to do with how I dye the yarn with the acid dyes. But yeah, I'm hoping to have some extra space when we move that I can do it somewhere else. So yeah, that really has made me want to dye yarn again though, yarn and fibre, especially because I've been spinning some of the fibre that I dyed as well. So I miss it a little bit, but it's a mission, good couple of hours. Moving swiftly on rather than me rambling, I had a craft weekend, as mentioned last weekend, with my friends down in Dorset. Basically every year we go on holiday together and just craft and sit around, and we like to go outside for some sunshine, but then we go back in, hibernate and do more crafts. So because I was there with my daughter, but because other people were playing with her and entertaining her, I was able to get some embroidery done, which I wouldn't normally be able to do. So I dug out a kit that I got a few years ago by Vikas Space, who I really highly recommend. It's satin stitch, all of it is satin stitch. And this is the Peyto Lake kit. So you can see I've got printed fabric that I'm then stitching over, and it's satin stitch is so relaxing because it's just straight lines. You really don't have to think too much about it once you get going. In the kit you get all the threads you need, the fabric and the hoop, and then you just go ahead. So I think you get needles too. So yeah, that was quite fun to get going with. The needle keeper is also from her, but bought separately. Yeah, so I hope that I have a bit more time to carry on with this. Unfortunately, a lot of the time my daughter sleeps on me during the day, so I don't really have time to do anything like this until the evening when she goes to bed. And there's not a lot of light, which I think you do need for embroidery. I have a daylight lamp, so I should probably just go and sit under it. But let's see, I'm hoping to get a bit more done, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. I do have another kit that my husband got me for Christmas as well that I'd like to get to, which is why I thought I'll finish this one first. As you can see, I've done some more. So that was the 2023 stitch along. She releases a stitch along every year for free. You just have to print out the pattern, use your own fabric, hoop, etc. And they are actually really nice. I have the 2024 stitch along all set up, but I haven't started it yet because it's not quite as big as this one. This one was really big, but it's pretty big. And again, I should finish what I've started first rather than picking up another project, especially when I don't have loads of time to do it. That is the embroidery. I think we're on to acquisitions. I was going to talk about having a go with my Peyto electric I-cord maker, but I can't find the I-cords that I've made, so I need to find them before I talk you through it. I might do a separate video or talk about it in the next episode, because I had a bit of time to make some of those as well. Acquisitions. So I was lucky enough to have my mum babysit on Friday afternoon so that I could go to Unravel Festival for 3 hours. Unravel Festival is in Farnham, which is not too far from where I live, and my friends and I tend to go on a Friday afternoon so that we can avoid the crowds, because they were also there on Friday morning and it was crazy apparently. And yeah, Friday afternoon seems to be the best time to go if you want a bit of calm, which I appreciate these days. So I go Friday afternoon. The only thing is that some stuff is sold out by then, so if you really want to grab something, then you might not get the opportunity to. For example, I wanted to have 400 grams of the same fibre dyed the same way for a project, and I just couldn't find any that was available in that quantity, but never mind. So Unravel happens in spring and in autumn. The spring one tends to be bigger, or winter. Is it winter still? Maybe. So I got this lovely bag, which is the Unravel bag for this year, or this festival. And then I bought a few things. I have been trying not to spend money on myself to save up for this one opportunity during my maternity leave that I have to buy yarn from vendors that I can see in person. So I'll go through what I got. The first thing that I picked up was this Ravelry eco-friendly and ethical yarn. It is in sport weight, woolen spun, 2-ply. The colour is obsidian, so it's this very, very, very dark tealy blue. It is, yeah, woolen spun as sport weight, 100% merino from organically raised single flock in Bavaria, and 300 meters for 100 grams. It actually says that shearing and spinning took place in Bavaria in spring summer 2022-2023. Yeah, and the idea of this, because it's sport weight, is to use it with some handspun, because my handspun tends to come out at a sport weight if I don't plan specifically for a different weight. And I have quite a lot of light handspun, and other than this colour and a couple of others from Ulysse, I didn't really have many darks available. So I thought I'd try it out. It is actually really nice and soft. It makes sense, it's merino, but yeah, I want to try it out. So that is what I've got there. What I actually am planning to do, which I hope I'll have enough yardage for, is I knit a shawl some time ago. And I had a light grey as the main colour and my handspun as the contrast. I don't think it's high enough contrast, so I'm tempted to rip it out and re-knit it with this, but it depends on the yardage that I would need. And I'm hoping I wrote in my notes how much of the Ulysse I used. So that was purchase number one. I just grabbed that off the stall as soon as I went past, and we usually do an initial loop and then go back for anything that we want to buy. I knew I wanted that, so I just grabbed it. Next up, I wanted to check out Loom yarns. So Loom is a company that I've been following for quite a while. I've always wanted to buy something from their website and haven't ended up doing so. Followed them on Instagram for ages, and they had yarn and also fibre there, so I was looking to see if I could get some enough fibre for what is going to be my poly cardigan, but I couldn't, unfortunately. However, what I will do is keep an eye on the website and see when she's got some more available. But I picked up these two skeins. This is DK Sock in Evermore, and I just thought this was a really nice, simple, basic cream base with some lovely speckles in pink, and I think there's some blue in there. Actually, this one you'll be able to see a bit better. There is some mustard in there, and it's just really nice and subtle and pretty. I have been after two skeins of the same colourway for DK weight yarn to knit things for my daughter, because my single DK skeins are not enough. So that's what I've got. And I also picked up some buttons. So let me show you one. These will go with that yarn. There you go. Ooh. There you are. So this is a little mustard button. That is to go with the yarn to bring out that little mustard colour element in there. The buttons are actually made of cotton, so it makes them really light. But I'm guessing it's like cotton that's been mashed together, pulped and probably mashed together. And I am going to make the Cedar Wood Baby Romper by Sandra Magalhães once again. I bought 3 of her patterns and I've already knit 2 of them, so why not make another one? And that's really, really cute. I will pop a picture just here. So I'm hoping to knit the 6 to 9 month size for my daughter, and I think that should be plenty of yarn for that. And I'm sure I'll have that to show you on the next episode. So yeah, I got some lovely yarn for that. And I will keep an eye out on the website for some fibre to buy and have for my Paulie cardigan. Next up, and this is once again for my daughter. I couldn't resist getting these 2 skeins from Bird Street Yarn. So they are DK sock once again, but in the moss colourway, so really lovely green colour. I thought they looked quite similar to the wall in my daughter's bedroom, and I felt like I should knit her a cardigan out of this. I am going to knit the Baby Ayusta sweater actually by the Knit Pearl Girl, so not a cardigan, but it has a button element on the side. Again, I'll just pop a picture of that here so that you can see what it looks like. And that's been something in my baby patterns list for some time. I've seen Hannah from the Corner of Crafts has made the cardigan a few times and it looks really cute, but I quite like the idea of a sweater with little buttons. My daughter has a couple that are shop bought that actually work really well, so we're going to go with that for these 2 skeins. And then I did also buy a little bit more for myself. So when I was browsing Bird Street Yarns, I obviously gravitated towards the green for my daughter, then also picked up this Surrey fluff. So it's, yeah, Surrey silk lace, Surrey alpaca and mulberry silk, 50 grams, 300 meters, for that 50 grams. And this is Frog Cloud colourway, and I just am feeling the green at the moment, so yeah, I thought I'd grab this to perhaps pair with something like one of the greens that I've hand dyed myself, or see if I have anything else. I'm pretty sure I have some Bird Street yarn that I can pair this with to make a hat. I'm tempted to test out my own hat pattern that I wrote up some time ago and never published, because that's a Surrey and fingering weight held together. For that one, it's called the Three Ridges hat. I don't know if I'm going to publish it or not, but I like the pattern and it fits me quite well, so I thought a frog green would be quite fun, especially as a sample as well. And then finally I was having a little look at Zakami, and I noticed that they have, instead of, well, as well as the Surrey alpaca, brushed alpaca, they've also got one with yak included. So it gives us this really grey tone, whereas the Surrey silk normally is quite white. So this is 42% baby alpaca, 10% yak, 35% silk, and it's got 13% merino as well, but it is also a lace weight. And it's 400 meters for 50 grams, so it's actually finer than this one is. But I thought just the colour was quite nice. Ooh. So I'd probably use this undyed. And I thought I really like yak in general, so it's quite a nice fibre. So I thought I'd test it out and see what this is like. It is very, very soft. I'd say it feels a bit stiffer, but that's probably because it's got the merino content as well as the silk, the drapey silk. But I really like the look of it, so I'll have to, this is the one thing I don't actually have an idea of a project for, but I'll see if I can figure one out. Maybe I use it again for another hat or an accessory of some kind. I just, again, thought the colour, the natural colour of the yak blended with the alpaca and the merino was really nice. There you go. And the silk as well. But yeah, so it's got a silk core like the other one does. So yeah, that is what I bought. And then I got the bag as well, because I quite like doing that. I got the bag last year. I think this year's was more expensive, but actually also a nicer bag and quite good quality. So I'll definitely be using this when I'm out and about as well. And that is everything that I have time for. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do like, subscribe, comment if you have any comments. And I will see you in a couple of weeks with some more progress on my knits, and hopefully won't be angry at myself for the Ginny cardigan anymore. Let's see how that goes. Thanks again. Have a lovely crafty couple of weeks. Bye.